Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name of course is Resonant, and in the last video many of you know I talked about diplomacy and how it will work in Bannerlord. If you haven't seen it already, there will of course be a link in the video description or at the end of the video, or just go and check it out by clicking on my channel. At the end of that video though, the diplomacy video, I spoke about how the next video will be about co-op. How will Tailworlds implement it into the game, and how will it work in general? So this is what I'm going to do. So sit back, relax and enjoy today's video about co-op gameplay in Mount & Blade Bannerlord and how it will work. I have a number of ideas about how co-op will work in Bannerlord, so let's get right into them. Now the first one is the most simple one, but I think it's probably one of the most unlikely ones, since it's not very true to the game of Mount & Blade Warband. Essentially what this idea is doing is taking the mechanics from the Total War games. Now many of you will be sighing, no, we don't want another Total War, and frankly nor do I. That's why I said this is the least likely one I think they will probably do, since it's kind of straying a bit away from the Mount & Blade franchise. But it would be the most simple one to do, and I think it'll probably be the most effective, but I'm not sure it will happen. Like I said, we don't really want another medieval style Total War, it's kind of just reskinning it. But if any of you guys haven't played a Total War game, let me go through how this works. So in the Total War games, each of you pick a faction and you can play with each other or against each other. And this way there are turns, so it kind of goes like you take your turn, you move your troops, you build your stuff in your cities, and then you click end turn. Now it could either be done with one person takes their turn, then the next person takes their turn, then back to the first person taking their turn where they go and attack, and when they go into battles, one person can spectate in the battle, or they could join on the side of the first player and they could be gifted some of their units so they can control like a certain amount of units from their friend's army. Any of you that play Total War will know how that works. So it can either be one person plays then the next person plays, or it can be like you do in Total War, where you have both people, you do your stuff. So let's say if one person wanted to move to a certain location on the map, the other person wanted to build a castle or an armory in their factions area, then they do that, and then they both click end turn, and once they both clicked end turn, then like the AI takes their turn, or whatever happens after that. So it can be either one, then the next, or it can be both at the same time. Like I said, the reasons that I don't think this will happen is because it strays very far from the Mount & Blade franchise. That is kind of the iconic Total War style, turn-taking gameplay on a sort of tabletop kind of thing. And I think what Mount & Blade is trying to do is immerse the players in the gameplay as much as possible, but the problem with that is it kind of takes away the abilities to do co-op in Mount & Blade Bannerlord in an easy way. Obviously, I think Tailworlds have said that they are looking at options, but I think it's going to be very hard for them to actually find an option where they can do co-op in a way that is best suited to the game, that stays true to the franchise, but also isn't complicated and actually works properly. So Mount & Blade is a kind of game that I don't think co-op would work very well in, but I would really like to see it. So the first idea, of course, is Total War style turn-taking gameplay. Let's move on to the next one. Now, my next idea is obviously the big problem kind of that people are thinking is going into cities, because in Mount & Blade, you can go into cities, you can walk around the streets, you can go into markets, you can take place in tournaments, and then going into battles, and co-op would be really complicated for that, because what happens if someone goes in a city? What happens if someone goes in a market? What happens to the other person? So, what I was thinking is, what if they took that out completely? What if you couldn't go in cities? It would obviously make the game a lot less in-depth than obviously the single player, but of course you've got single player if you want it to be really in-depth. So what if they took out the whole walking around cities, because it's not the most important part of it, it's kind of you just want to see it. So it's more of just the simple marketplace stuff that you see in Warband, the simple trading screens and stuff like that. There's no walking around in cities, because I think that'll be extremely hard, and that's going to be the part that makes Bannerlord really hard to optimize for co-op gameplay. So that could be removed completely, and that will probably annoy a lot of people, because like I said, it does take out the immersion. People love Mount & Blade for the immersion. You actually go into a city, you walk around, you see people doing their stuff, you can walk up to the blacksmith, you can buy stuff, and that really enhances the gameplay and what makes Mount & Blade, I think, stand out from other games as the genre. But for co-op, I think it would be a perfectly liable idea. I mean, if people want to be more in-depth, they want to be more immersed in the gameplay of Calradia, they can go into single player to do that. They can go on a mod, they can go on vanilla single player, but if they want to play with a friend, immersion isn't really what you want to do, because you don't normally play with a friend if you want to be immersed in a game, because there's someone talking in your ear over TeamSpeak. So I think that would be a liable idea, actually, taking out cities, not taking out cities, but taking out the going into cities and walking around stuff. You could just have the simple trading screens, the simple screens that come up and you just click stuff instead of actually going to the cities. But tell me what you guys think about that idea. I know it's not perfect or needs a bit of tweaking, but it was just something that came to my head that could possibly work. Now, the next idea actually came to me from a comment that was left. So thank you, Colin Atez, if that's how you pronounce your name. I'm really sorry if it's not. But he had an idea where all the players could be in the same party. Now, if you guys understand what you mean, in Mount & Blade Warband, you're in a party, you have your troops in the party, you can upgrade them, you can have your individual skills where you can upgrade your leadership, where you can get more troops in your party, you can do stuff in that party, you go raid stuff, you go take castles, and you go into massive open battles. But what if both the players were in the same party, so they were all going around, they all did exactly the same thing at the same time? Now, there's an advantages, of course, and disadvantages to this, as there is with everything, all the ideas we have here. With the advantages, going into cities and stuff would not be a problem. You'd go into a city and you'd go alongside your partner, you'd walk around in the city with your partner, you do everything together, you'd go into battle with your partner, they take command of some of the army, you take command of the other army, you'd be with your partner the whole time. So going into cities and all that kind of stuff would not be a problem. But that completely takes away the whole, you're making your own kingdom, you're following your own footsteps into Calradia to be the best you can be in this kingdom. So that completely takes away that aspect of it, but it does kind of fix the other things about going into the cities and towns and villages and battles and such like that. So it takes away from some things but adds to other things, and it's kind of balancing up what you would rather do. Would you rather have your own kingdom than fight against your friend, or would you want to be with them the whole time doing exactly the same thing all the time? I don't know, maybe that could be an option. But I don't want to start saying things because obviously it's very hard to get co-op into this game in the first place, so having options for co-op would be extremely tricky. But yeah, that is an idea. All people being in the same parties, doing the same thing at the same time would definitely add to being able to go into the cities and stuff, so you'd keep that immersion, but it would take away from being on your own, building up your own kingdom and going to battle against your friend in their kingdom. So it's kind of balancing that up. What would you rather do? But that is quite a good idea, thank you for that idea, and it would be really cool to see what they could do with that. Before I get onto the final idea, I'd just like to say if you have any more ideas to expand upon, please leave it on the comments, and I will definitely be looking at them and be answering to your comments, because as you can see, you guys have really good ideas. So I'd really like to see what are your ideas on co-op, and also expand on my ones. What do you think would work, what do you think wouldn't work? Obviously don't just say, oh, that idea is stupid, because we don't know how it could work, so of course some things may not be able to work like that, or some things will be able to work like that. It's not stupid ideas, they're just ideas, okay? But I'd love you guys to expand on them, that'll be really cool to see. So the final one is pausing when a player goes into towns or cities or into battles. And this, you may be a bit confused what you want about, but let's say if the first player wants to go into a town to walk around the town, then the second player on the map just pauses, okay? The game pauses while they're walking around. Now that could be annoying if you're not on like TeamSpeak with them, because you won't be like, hurry up or I'll leave, and someone will just leave or rage at them. So it's kind of, you're going to have to be on TeamSpeak or Skype with them. And it has to be a friend that you actually know for that kind of stuff. It's a bit like Total War. If someone's taking ages with their turn and it's not someone you know, you're just going to leave because it's just not as fun that way. But it's a possibility. Someone pauses whether they go into a town or cities, and then into battles. Like, let's say player 1 goes into a battle with another faction, and they have a massive army. Now, the other player can either spectate that battle, or player 1 can gift some units, or some troops, to the second player, player 2. And then that player 2 could take control of that army, and let's say he could, like, flank right right, player 1 could flank right left, to go into all-out charges, so it could work like that. So pausing when people go into towns and cities, and into battles, the other person, instead of pausing, because battles take a lot longer, don't they? Trading screens, you can go in, you can click some stuff, and you get out pretty quickly, a minute maximum. Battles can take a long time if it's a large-scale battle. So the other player can either spectate the battle, or play alongside them. And that'll be a really cool thing to add to the co-op, I think, and that's definitely something they did do in Total War a bit. But it doesn't have the kind of turn-taking aspect of it, it's just pausing when someone goes to a town and cities. If someone did that all the time, I could see how that would get annoying. So like I said before, It'll be better if it was a friend on Skype or something, but all co-op games are better if you're talking to the actual person, because if someone keeps going into towns and cities, and someone you don't know, you're going to get a bit annoyed. So that could be something to look out for. But other than that, that's pretty much all the ideas I have for co-op in Mount & Blade Warband. But what are your ideas? Like I said, expand on my ideas, tell me what you think could work and what couldn't work. I like constructive criticism and constructive support, so it'll be really cool to see what your thoughts are on this topic. If there are any more topics in Mount & Blade Bannerlord that you'd like me to go over in detail and get more suggestions for, just leave that in the comments as well, and I can do a video on that. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, remember to hit the like button. If you didn't, you know what to do. But stay subscribed to the channel for more content on Bannerlord. I'll be giving you regular updates like I have for the past 6 months now. I've been doing a lot of updates on Mount & Blade Bannerlord, and you guys seem to have really enjoyed them. And hopefully it's doing you guys a favour, so you guys can stay up to date with the up and coming game. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next one.